Hello and welcome to Comic Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
And I'm Eric McElroy. Good evening.
Evening, yes. Welcome along to this online streaming show, Comic Solving Problems, where we don't solve any problems and thanks to the lockdown aren't actually working stand-up comics. So there's never been a show that has a worse title since Britain's Got Talent and the short-run TV show BMW Drivers Aren't Arsewipes. But other than that, we're in like the top three in terms of bad titled shows. So I'm Stephen Allen, and this is Eric McElroy. He's in a different place. More details on that still to come. Also, by the end of today's show, we will have learnt more about the lockdown, some information from America. If you've got a pet, you definitely want to wait to the end. And where's the best place to get swabbed? Is it up the bum? You'll find out by the end of the show. And also, yes.
That's personal, but okay.
So, welcome along. One thing you could do if you want to get involved in the show, you can chat wherever you're watching this, but a really good place to be chatting is the main YouTube channel. It's on screen right now. Subscribe to it while you're there. Why don't you? Wink.
Yep. The bell thing. Do the bell.
Tap the bell, whatever that means. I mean, sounds ruder than I think it is, or maybe it is. I don't know. We'll find out. Get stuck in during the show. You can have your say on any of the issues that we get stuck into, and every so often we might be mentioning the fact that seeing as we're not earning, you could chuck some money in our little donation pot and it would stop us, I would say, starving to death, but we've both gained enough weight during lockdown that's not the biggest issue. Just bills. That's a bigger thing.
That's a big thing. Yes, and a thank you to those who purchased tickets via the Crack Comedy as well. And you're welcome for coming. Some of you bought tickets already, so that's fantastic. Some of you got free tickets, and so if you wanted to donate during the show, you could do that too. £3 a head, £4 a head, £20 a head.
Depends how many heads you got.
Yeah. Depends on how many heads you got. It depends on, how much it's worth.
We're talking about?
It's worth a lot.
Well, let's not promise more than we deliver. But okay, if everyone's sat down, you got yourself a drink, you got yourself some snacks, I think it's time to get some entertainment. Eric, over to you.
Well, we like to solve problems on the show, or as you just said, not solve problems on the show, but we bring up problems and then sort of take the piss out of them. This problem one is a big one, and I think everybody knows about it. It's been probably the biggest news story that we've had since we took last Thursday off. There hasn't been anything else to talk about, and it's how to manage the stress of moving. It's a big stress, isn't it, Steve? And we saw probably one of the biggest moves last week, which we can watch right here.
President Donald Trump plans to make his exit from the White House, and signs of his departure could already be seen over the weekend. You can see here in this video that movers were packing up and moving the president's items out of the White House.
But that happened last week, but that's not the move I'm talking about. I mean, that was important and everything else, but whatever. I'm talking about me, Steve. Obviously, I'm in a new location, and I moved. And just like you observed on our placeholder show Thursday, because we couldn't do a show, basically the reason I moved is because it's one of the only reasons you can legally get out of the house during Tier 4. And I just couldn't go on another fucking walk. So I thought, you know what? I'll move. But not far, because we want to keep the kids in the same school when they go back to school. Please let them go back to school. So we didn't go very far, but we did move. So the big move I'm talking about, we can see a little bit of it here. This was this office right now that I'm recording in or broadcasting in just a few hours ago. You can see, look at that.
Wow.
That was the start of the day. So that's the desk I'm on right now. I didn't even try and set up the green screen because I'm missing one of the bits that hold it up. I think the movers may have eaten it. But yeah.
You've got a green screen and a green folder. Does that mean that we don't know if your folder's in shot right now because it would be magically removed by the green screen technology?
It could be green screen behind me. It could be I'm still in the same house and haven't moved and just didn't want to do a show on Thursday last week. But no, I have moved. And it was interesting. I mean, it's always stressful. I mean, you haven't moved house for a little while, have you, Steve? How long's it been?
No, actually, yeah. For coming on for 5 years.
Yeah, and I mean, we got the dog. And my kids and
Still
their
got
stuff.
them. Okay.
Yeah, we got the wife and everything else. And it was, things are tight. Let's be honest. And this isn't just to try and get donations, although those are helpful. We're in lockdown, and money's tight right now. So we didn't go with maybe when you go through the list of movers to get, and you get that top tier, drop it down a tier.
Oh, okay.
Another tier,
and
then another, and then you get the guys that we got. Lovely fellas, very nice, most of them. we did have some issues. I'll be honest with you. The thing is that the house we're moving into just got new carpets put in. House we're moving out of, we had started with new carpets, so we spent the last 4 years trying to get the kids and the dog not to touch the carpets, which is tricky because of gravity.
Gravity, yeah.
They never listen. So the guys put down, the carpety things to cover up the carpet, or the rugs, or whatever they're called, runners. And we asked the guys to take off their shoes when they're in the house. One of the guys, he comes in the house with his shoes, starts to go upstairs. I'm like, excuse me, remember shoes? Just remember the shoes, because you know how I am around really manly men. My voice just gets higher. And he was like, yeah, they're new shoes.
Have they not been outside?
What the fuck are you talking about? And the thing was, I learned something about the hierarchy of the moving company, the removal company culture. Did you know that there's a captain of the team?
No.
Yes.
Is it Stripes? How can you tell?
Yeah. And it's not just, it was the guy that had the new shoes, but that's not what made him the captain.
Right.
I think that's what made him the king. What made him the captain of the crew was the fact that he was a van driver.
Yeah.
The van driver said that is the ultimate in the hierarchy of the removal. There's van driver, and then there's just the other dudes. So that was pretty much it. And what the van driver would allow on the van is what got moved. And he wouldn't take some of our things, Steve.
Did you know that the van driver of a removal squad is legally allowed to marry you if you're in his van?
Yeah, I can imagine that, because he had quite a bit of authority. He refused to take some of our things. And the thing he refused to take were the boxes of composted dirt that we moved from one house to another.
Why were you moving? Actually, valid question on behalf of removal people everywhere. Why were you moving compost from one house to another?
It's not his business to ask why or when. It's his business to take off his fucking shoes and move my dirt. Literally. We have the dirt because my wife panicked in lockdown 1 in the springtime, and we planted in the garden because we are in lockdown and we're middle class now. And to be fair, Brexit has happened now properly, so we need that dirt more than ever, because those 5 tomatoes that we grew saved us from starvation.
Yeah. Because we're so close to starvation, as you can tell. It's just the camera lenses make us look wider.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So I learned about that. Just basically every time I asked him to do something, he's like, health and safety, mate. Got to wear my new shoes on the dirty carpet.
That's good.
But I'd say, although I do feel for them, because we have a lot of shit, and including the stuff that we stockpiled because of the lockdowns, and panic bought that extra fridge and the extra fridge freezer and a few other things. So, but we got there in the end. And I have to say, it did go better than the very, very first move I ever had in the UK, which was the first time I'd ever hired professional movers. And I had been told by someone who I called a friend that one of the things that you have to do with the removal guys, if you got proper lads with the van captain, is that you have to give them a cup of tea at some point, right? Yeah. Now, I am handicapped by being an American, so a cup of teas terrify me. Plus, I'm from Seattle. It's coffee culture. I just don't,
They should let you park nearer the shops, definitely.
Definitely. Seattle. Anyway. But so I was like, right. This is when my daughter had just been born. We were moving. And so I kept back the stuff to make the cup of tea, because I knew I'd want to offer it. I sent the wife and the baby to the new house. I was like, I had the kettle, had the tea, had water still on tap. Got the milk, was ready to go. At the right point, though, I was warned by my friend that you have to be careful when you offer removal men a cup of tea, because if you do it too early, they take advantage. And they can just take the piss out of you. If you wait too long, they get pissed off and they just break all your stuff. I was panicked. I didn't know when to offer to make them a cup of tea. So I waited till the right moment. They looked like they were getting a little tired. I went down, and, these are tough, proper men, right? So how do they want their tea? They want milk. What else do they want in there?
Sugar. It's builders.
Sugar. Yeah, exactly. It's builder's tea. I had packed the sugar. I don't take sugar in my coffee. I'd forgotten about sugar. And so I said to the guys, I don't have any sugar. And they just all went, oh, it's all right, mate. It's all right. It's all right. 6 guys, none of them would have taken any tea. And I was like, oh, I've ruined this. And so they packed up all our stuff, but they seemed fine. They were very nice, and they drove off. And I never saw our stuff again.
Yeah, makes sense. You deserve that. Yeah.
So this time, I was ready.
So you had some sugar on standby?
Had some sugar on standby.
Right.
I did pack the kettle, though.
Yeah, crap.
So there we go. We're moved. This will be set up more. We got the frog still, if you remember from the old set. The Olympia beer sign will be back too. I just didn't have a safe place to put it, and it's going to be amazing. This is it.
Good.
We should make this season 5 or something. It's a big change.
I think all you need is to get some coloured lights so we can just blur the blue in, or pick the same colour each week, and then we'll just look more like we're in the same place. We could get, because your ceiling now doesn't look that different to this wall. Mine's just greener. We can do that with lights.
I got skylights now.
We can do this. Hello. Keep the funding coming through, because this guy's skylights need money.
There we go. So it's very exciting, and it's, I think it is definitely the biggest move that happened in the last 7 or 8 days. There's been no other changes in the world.
Okay. If you want to get in touch and have any, so far you'd be trying to make a comment on Eric's moving abilities, but
yeah, it's a big problem that a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah, we'll take a bit about that. Martin says, "Are we revolving?" There is a chance that's not about this tonight's episode. Although I see. Actually, we've got quite a lot coming in from Exquisite Tenderness. Let's go over to the message board. Good evening, says TTAMG. So Tatamg. I'm liking that you stopped combing your hair, says Exquisite Tenderness. It's got to be you, not me.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, we don't have any mirrors in the new house that are up. There's no mirrors in the bathrooms, so it was a bit.
Have you been cursed?
I don't know what it is. That, and I no longer have a reflection ever since I got the COVID vaccine. Yeah. No reflection. I haven't gotten the vaccine.
He also just points out the phrase "water on tap." I mean, it did come across a little bit Johnny Big Potatoes, like, I got water on tap. You've got what? Ooh, how the middle classes live.
Because you say taps here. Do you call them taps?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea of something being on tap is impressive unless it's water.
I might be middle class now. I might be having composted organic soil to grow 3 tomatoes. Yeah. But I come from scum.
Did you not have water on tap back in the old home country?
Fresh from the bucket. That's where it was.
Paula says, "I moved 5 times in 2019. The struggle to move is real." Were you wanted? Did you owe money? Why would you move that many times in a year?
I mean, back in the day, I moved a lot when I first came to London.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
so if you'd like to get involved, you can get chatting on the thing that's got the messages on it over there. You could drop some money in the pot over there, and messages on Twitter, which is on screen right now.
There we go.
I'll do a bit of news.
Do some news, Steve.
I'll sort out some problems. I thought I'd do a little bit of an update on what's happening in the UK vis-a-vis the coronavirus situation. And I thought it would be good to try and check on where our expectations should be. How good should things be going? Let's check in with what Boris Johnson said back in, I think this was May of last year. Here's what he had to say.
We will have a test, track and trace operation that will be world-beating, and yes, it will be in place. It will be in place by June the 1st.
Okay, have a little look at that. Good news is it's definitely after June the 1st, so I guess things are going pretty darn well by now. Give me their latest headline. UK coronavirus death toll passes 100,000 in grim milestone. It's difficult to try and find the positive in there. Brexiters, good news. We've gone back to calling it a grim milestone again, instead of those decades of calling it a grim kilometre stone. And what's that? I'm being told that never happened anyway, and you could always buy pints. Okay, well, at least you have all that fish that you can sell. What's that? Oh, crap. Anyway, different argument for a different time. 100,000 deaths now in the UK. And as soon as you mention that on social media, what will happen is you'll see some angry people talking about the statistics by saying things like this.
Yeah, but these statistics are the people who died with COVID, not of COVID.
Oh, like in the same way that I slept with your mum, not of your mum. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, so if you test positive for COVID and then walk down the street, get knocked down by a bus, they'd still count you in those statistics. So what could be happening is all this increase in deaths could be that buses are really more dangerous this year. Maybe bus drivers are all trying to hit us. So what we should do is stay at home and avoid public transport and no...
And that argument happens so much. It's with, not of. But here's the interesting thing. It's actually the stats that have been talked about. the data is about the times when coronavirus has been mentioned on the death certificate. So it's not one of those you tested positive ages ago and died of something else. Now, those people will also say, yeah, but there are 2 things listed on a death certificate. And guess what? In the last week, I've become an expert in filling these things in. So I know that in section 9, there are 2 things listed. One is the cause of death, like the primary cause, and then 2 is like a contributing factor. So how on earth is coronavirus going to be mentioned in that second position if someone got knocked down by a bus? Do you think the death certificate is going to say first one is internal organ damage from traffic collision? Oh, and they were going to the shops to get loo roll because of COVID-19. If it mentioned it on the death certificate, it's played a big role. So that's the situation that we're dealing with. The figures don't look particularly great, and these are COVID-related deaths. And this is how bad it is. The UK is now one of just 5 countries to pass this grim 1.2 kilometre stone, following the USA, India, Mexico and Brazil. And we're the best in Europe. And this is the problem. All of those countries are just bigger than us, and yet we're losing so many people. So, trying to find the good news. You know, all those Brexit people who said, well, the UK's full. It's not now, is it? I mean, this is so grim. It's a terrible figure, losing that many people. What do you have to say about that, Boris Johnson? How would you describe it?
World-beating.
Yep, I guess we are in many ways. So that was today's flipping news. Terrifying. I mean, I didn't realise we're such a small country to be losing so many people. And also, and I didn't bring it into this week's show, but we're also predicted to have one of the worst economic recessions. So how are we, back at the start of this, people were saying, it's disgraceful. People are making a decision between health and wealth. But at least that way you pick one. How are we not having either? How are they managing to make this the worst handling of anything I've ever seen?
It's called sovereignty, Steve.
Feels good.
And I'd rather be dead and poor.
Good news. That's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true. And definitely one of them already has.
Well, yeah. Speaking of which, if you'd like to help us out, chuck some money in the pot. Keep it
no, it is grim. It's absolutely terrifying. I talked to somebody on my podcast, subtle plug, who's an expert in COVID-19, and he basically, I said, what do you say to the people who are like, oh, you just want to stay in lockdown forever, don't you? That's just what you want. And he's like, no, I want my kids to go to school. So basically, he doesn't like his kids. But basically, he said, what I liked is he said, the amount of time I spend talking to you about why lockdowns aren't effective is just making the lockdown last longer.
That's the thing. That's one of my newspaper columns this week. It's exactly that point, that we can argue whether lockdown should or shouldn't happen, but at some point you have to realise we are in one, so surely you want it to be over and done with as quick as possible. It's like if you're in a car and you're lost, you can have the debate if you want where you say, I told you 15 miles ago we should have taken a left, and you can win that argument, but you still sat in a car in a different position, focus on getting us through it. I mean, the more people refuse to stick to the rules, the more they're extending the thing that absolutely everybody hates.
Yep. And believe me, not only do we have the battle of the shoes in the house with the movers, we had a lot of chin-wearing masks going on. Guys, got to bring it up above the nose, guys. Yeah. Got to bring it up above the nose.
I mean, even if you've got
Not
a double
that far
chin.
Up. Now you can't see where you're taking my stuff. Oh, that was the China. But still.
Yeah. Tricky times. If you want to get involved, you've got the messages on the screen. We've got any more messages over here. Lynn says there has to be lockdowns so that the hospitals don't implode. Exactly. Yeah. There's so many. So the numbers of 100,000, over half of those deaths have happened since November. So, God. And we've both ended up being on different media platforms debating these things where people will show you a graph and talk about the height of the graph. And I'm just sat there fuming, going it's the area under the graph that tells you how many people have died. Oh, God. But it turns out, talking about maths never wins any arguments, which is just wrong.
I only talk about math.
Yeah, that's why America's still in that top 5 with us. I mean, that could have been embarrassing for us, but you're on the show and America's worse than we are. So.
We get watchers from America. We have people. We've had people send us their pictures of them watching us on televisions in Canada. Where else this happened early on in season 1. Yeah. I think we had Singapore once. So if you're watching us on a funky device, feel free to post a picture, tweet it at us on the tweets. make sure you're careful about what you include in the photo, but send it to us.
Include it anyway. Who cares? We all need something to smile at.
That's true.
Yeah.
Why not? Nothing else going on.
You can chuck some money in the pot as well to keep this project up and floating. Meanwhile, so you keep the messages coming through. And Eric, news?
Yes. Well, I know I tongue-in-cheek said that my moving house was the biggest thing that happened last week, but we do have a problem of what exactly does the dawn of a new era look like, which is what we had for the world, for the United States, for the universe, I would say, last week when this happened.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
It's just, I know it's a long clip to watch, but I just watched it so many times. I mean,
Good.
I've watched it almost as much as some of the things I've watched on Pornhub. It's just as orgasmic. It's just wonderful. But you know what? Biden being president isn't even the standout thing from that clip, Steve. Do you know what the one thing that stood out for me was this?
And repeat after me. I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
Robinette? His middle name is Robin. Is it Robin Ed? What the fuck kind of middle name is that?
Robinette.
How have we just found? I know it was Joseph R. Biden Jr. because we all like to do the German, the junior thing in America. But Robinette? I had to play that back. I had to look it up. Like, what the hell is his middle name?
Is that the band who did Needle in a Haystack?
I don't. But it turns out, you know what it is? It's French.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Trump said he was a socialist all along, and now we find out he's French. I take my vote back. Make America great again and get that Frenchie out of the White House. Disgusting.
Wow.
Now, obviously he's allowed to have a funny name. Doesn't really matter. He's president of the United States now. I'm very glad about it because day one he got to work. As we can see here, he immediately got on task, signing numerous executive orders. He signed them on day one. He's been signing them all week. Steve, these are good things that he is doing.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, he has done. He stopped the Muslim ban of people coming into the U.S. He's expanding health care by order, because basically an executive order is not passing a new law, but because the president is the chief executive of the United States, he can guide the interpretation of many of the laws that are there, and he's empowered to make decisions because he's the chief government officer. So Muslim ban stopped, healthcare expanded, saving some people from deportation that didn't deserve to be deported, allowing transgender people who want to serve in the military to serve in the military. I mean, if you're dumb enough to serve in the military, who cares? Rejoin the Paris Climate Accords, rejoin the World Health Organization, did all of these things, and it hasn't even been it's barely been a week. It's not even been a week since he became president. It's incredible to watch him untwist all of the damage that Trump did to the world and to America's reputation and everything else. Of course, not everybody's excited about these things as I am, Steve. Shocking to realize that. Of course, Fox News had to chip in and had to pick on some of the things that Biden has been doing, like this. President Biden appears to have removed Trump's Diet Coke button from the Oval Office.
Traitor.
That is the breaking news on Fox, not any of this other stuff. I mean, that is shocking to see. President Trump drank Diet Coke? I mean, I don't want to fat shame, but that boy lied about his weight. He got a doctor who's an officer in the military to lie about his weight because he was the commander-in-chief, and he's like, lie about it just to keep him 1 pound under obesity.
Do you think that Diet Coke button might have been where the nuclear button was? Because they just knew he'd press it, he'd get a drink, he'd be happy, and that the world doesn't end.
Could be. They just said, you know what, Mr. President, you press this button. What happens? You get a Diet Coke. Okay. Now, the best thing to happen at the inauguration wasn't even Biden becoming the president, wasn't even Kamala Harris becoming the first female and woman, a black woman and Indian American woman president, vice president of the United States. Those weren't even the best things. The best thing to come out of the inauguration was this.
Oh, yeah.
That photo. I mean, from the AFP news service, nobody had even ever heard of them, but that photo of Bernie sitting there has just become an internet sensation. It's the mittens, it's the grumpy old man look. There were pictures of him walking in, and he clearly was on his way to the post office because he had a letter with him in a vanilla envelope. Like, oh, I'm going to do a couple of things today. I didn't get to be president. But Bernie has turned up everywhere in that photo. I mean, we can see it right here. There we go. Look, there he is. There he was earlier today.
Wow.
That's the thing. That's what makes that photo so good. It doesn't matter where you put it. People put him in Star Wars. People put him everywhere. It just looks like he's actually there. And that's the way he would look. You'd be like, why is this so messy?
He's also the first person, look, as much as we've spent 11 months talking about people getting the mask wrong in terms of up and down position, he's the first person I've ever seen who's a little bit skew-if to the left. I mean, obviously he's to the left. He's even his mask is off to the left.
Even his mask is to the left. You know what I mean?
Well, look at that. It's not on the centre of his face, is it?
No, it doesn't. But it's the mittens, I think.
Yeah, it's difficult to put them on.
It's just clearly the sitting there going, this should have been my day.
It should have been me playing on his iPod.
And the fact that he's like 110, I don't think he's going to make it. Anyway.
Well, that's also true of Joe Biden. I mean, to be fair, when you said, like, look how much work he's got done this week. Yeah, because he's a little bit...
He's taking his naps.
Yeah.
But the big question, of course, what's Trump doing now? We can't look on Twitter because he's been suspended. He's gone down to Florida. We know that. He hasn't really made any statements or anything. Hasn't been on Fox News. Hasn't called into Fox and Friends. But a statement was released just within the last 24 hours that we know. We can see it here. There we go. He has launched the office of the former president of the United States. And he's even made up his own little seal. Look at that. So he's basically going to carry on the agenda of the Trump administration through advocacy. So he's just going to be putting the children in cages himself now. It's basically like he set up a fake office of the president, and the people around him are just treating him like, look, you get your own little seal. Yeah. Well done. They probably got him fake little soldiers to go in and invade a country. And we actually have pictures of a video of his new Oval Office that they're setting up for him. Here it is right here. It's the new office. Look at that. They've put it all together. And look, President Trump, you get to be behind the desk again. And look, there you are. You got the American flag, which you love so much. It's going to be so nice. Look, it's your own desk. Look at that. Look at that. He's coping well. I mean, the only thing is you can see there his hair has finally gone gray.
Oh, he stopped dyeing it. I'd never thought he was dyeing it in the first place. He was just letting the fake tan run a little bit higher. That's all that ever was.
Yeah, I'm sure it's something to do with the PP tapes.
Yeah.
Makes it yellow.
I love the idea that he's got his own little fake office up, but then he'll press the button and it'll be Diet Pepsi. Oh, it's totally not fair. Oh, bless him.
Bless him. So there we go.
Yeah,
Got a new president. It's exciting times.
Worrying that it turns out he's French, so no, all of a sudden it makes sense that he's rejoined the Paris Climate Accord.
Exactly.
We knew that stuff would happen. Also, it was good to see Juliette Lewis, famous actress and Scientologist, in the first clip.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
That's what she's been doing recently, is it? Wow. Yeah. And also reverse aged quite a bit.
Yeah, she's looking good.
Yeah, it's a brave new world for your home nation.
2021 has been pretty terrible, but there is some good news now. Trump is gone.
I got a theory, by the way. So one of the things you showed us there said that Biden is the 46th president.
Correct.
Lie, falsehood, false. Because Stephen Grover Cuba Gooding Jr. was president twice.
Yeah.
So just because he took a gap between having his terms, doesn't make him two people.
There has been debate about that, whether you count him twice or you count him as a singular person, because he is still the same man who became president
How
again.
is that even debate? We have a debate. Do we count a person as two people? No.
No, because it's a term of office that he served.
That's not what anyone says. Now,
continuous office.
No, that's the thing. So if someone gets 8 years, they only count once.
I think... is the 46 including him or not including him?
So here's my
Is Mark
theory.
Randall watching tonight? Because he usually has the facts. I haven't seen Mark in the chat yet. So
You can go and fact check it for us. That'd be handy. Because here's my theory, right? We've named all of the numbered all of the presidents, and now is the time to realise that 46 is the wrong number, therefore making Biden the 45th. But maybe we don't redo all the numbers. Just remove whoever 45 was from the history books and just see how that looks.
that's not a bad idea.
Full
And
of,
then, yeah, that'd be good.
yeah, you're welcome, America.
But it's an active debate in scholarly circles, whether you count him as one or two.
How can? Yeah, I know there's a debate, but the debate seems ridiculous. That no, he didn't have consecutive terms, so therefore we should count him as two people. Huh?
Because it's two. I mean, it's not like because Obama had 2 terms, but they were they were consecutive, so it's different.
So either you count the number of terms.
So basically, Biden's the 90th president.
Yeah.
Or something like
that's
that.
what I'd accept that, or I'd accept the number of people who have been president. But this weird mishmash number, no, that's not how counting works. Like if I take a week off and come back, no one's going to be like, "Oh my God, we had a guy look just like you here before. It's a shame you didn't meet him. No, because he left."
Yeah, I don't know. It's America. It's the greatest democracy in the world.
Well, they can't count because they got math. That's where you went wrong with that one.
You don't need the S. The word says anyway.
We've got some,
who have we got in the comments here? Joey's in the comments. So if you only fast forward to the good parts,
Let's talk about your viewing of Pornography Hub.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Hub de la Pornography.
And Roosevelt served 4 terms during World War II. That's very true.
Any gaps in between them?
No, but he didn't really serve the 4th term. He kicked it in like the first 3 months. And that's when Truman became president. So I'd say he kicked it. I mean, he couldn't stand very effectively, but
It is definitely, of all the presidents, of which there has, according to your maths, been 97 of them, kicked it is probably the worst.
Probably not the
worst
right
phrase.
thing. Sorry about that.
Too soon, Eric. Too soon.
Sorry. Anything else on that? That's the only comment I can see on this side. I don't know if you've got anything else over there.
I think we're all caught up with the comments.
We've got the Ko-fi link up as well. But even if you just subscribe to the channel or tell people you're enjoying it, that's also appreciated. Otherwise, we've got another problem here.
Oh, actually, no, I got some more. I got some more coming up in
Okay.
terms of messages. Just done a refresh on this one. Joseph Biden Sr. had English, French, and Irish ancestry. That's all very well, but why call yourself after the Robinettes with their Motown hits?
That's exactly.
Chris says Robinette sounds like a 1960s caravan. The Robinette Excelsior. Let's have a look. Mark says Grover Cleveland was 22nd and 24th and should therefore be 22 and 22A. Like a house, if you're trying to work out where to send the post.
There we go. That's a nice way to do it.
Totally agree. Good stuff. Right, keep the messages coming through. Now we've tracked down where more of them are. Let's get rid of some of these things. I got some more news, some more problems that I think we could fix.
Okay.
This, I wanted to do a little update on the vaccine and testing and stuff like that. It was just going to be vaccine, but then my other half has had to do some coronavirus tests. And throughout the entire run of it, she's now done antibody testing, a PCR, and at least a couple of lateral flows because she works for the BBC. And interestingly, when she did the PCR, that was probably the worst one because you have to take this long swab, run it along your tonsil a few times, take the same swab out, shove it up your nose, and twirl it around. Now, if you've only got the infection in your throat, what a great way to make sure it travels all the way around your body. Great. So she's been doing the tests. And then, Eric, you sent me a piece of news that news out of China says that the best place to be swabbed could be in the anus. COVID anal swabs are more accurate. Now, a couple of things on that. Firstly, if they're going to start doing anal swabs, they need to make the holes in those perspex windows a lot lower. Because I would not manage to... I'm 6'2" and I'd still struggle to reach all the way up there.
That first guy's leaning over. Maybe the guy behind... Maybe you do it to the person in front of you in the queue.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, I was trying to imagine, like, maybe he's a short guy and he's bent over. But even if I could reach up there, I think I'd still be on tippy toes. And I think if you're on tippy toes, you can't unclench. Prove me wrong. Actually, even worse news from that. If you look down the bottom, hundreds of thousands living in key Beijing district have undergone antibody tests, as well as throat, nasal, and anal swabs. It's the and that bothers me. Or, makes sense. But if you're going to swab my throat, nose, and anus, using the same swab, please do the anus last. No one wants...
Live a little, Steve.
No one wants sweet corn up their nose. Too much.
Don't like sweet corn.
You wouldn't after that. So yeah, if you want to know where to get swabbed, up the old tradesman's is apparently one way of doing it. And at least there's some good scientific news coming from other countries, because the vaccine news is not particularly great, as we saw today that vaccine supply fears grow amid EU export threat. And you just know that the same people sat around going, how dare the EU cut us off from getting our vaccine. If you said to them, oh, you're going to take the vaccine? No, I ain't going to take the vaccine. I don't know what's in it. You don't know what's in a Big Mac, but you seem to get through plenty of those. So look, it's a shame that we're not in some sort of trading block with the EU, I guess, but this is where we are. Nothing we can do about that now. And while we're talking about this issue of people saying, I don't understand why, I want to take exception to that argumentative strategy. In fact, let's go back to our friend, the angry man who tweets on social media. We'll say things like this.
Right. I don't understand, right?
And that is fine. Because why do we now live in a world where if someone starts a sentence with I don't understand, they think that's going to be an insult about the thing they're talking about rather than themselves? I don't understand quantum mechanics, but don't make it not real just because I don't understand it. In fact, I'd go as far as to say this. We could probably presume that a person knows less than half of all the information that there is in the universe. Okay. So it's more likely that you won't understand something than you would. We should be more surprised if actually you managed to understand anything. So why do people think them not understanding it is enough of a thing to prove them wrong? But anyway, that's how arguments go these days. And then they'll end up saying something like this.
I don't understand how they've got this so-called vaccine for coronavirus and yet they ain't got a vaccine for cancer. Yeah?
A couple of things. One is, well, cancer's not a virus, so well done for not understanding that. But also, cancer's more than just a thing. There's loads of different types of cancer. And yet they're talking about a vaccine for a specific virus, not even all coronaviruses, just this one. So that's like saying, how have scientists managed to find a vaccine for all viruses? They haven't. That's the point. It's too difficult. A better comparison you could make would be, I don't understand how scientists have managed to find a vaccine for this coronavirus when they haven't found a vaccine for a cancer. And if you think that's the case, you should ask your daughter how that HPV vaccine went for her.
Oh, I can't. I'm not allowed to see the kids anymore.
That's probably why you're angry on TikTok all the goddamn time. So that's the situation. People, and I'm getting a lot of that. I post things about just wear a damn mask because it's like zero cost to you. Oh, how dare you tell me to wear a mask? Well, somehow I dare. It's weird, isn't it? I don't understand why. Well, that's just the way things are. Surprise. And then I think it was made even worse by, if you can't get people who don't understand things to take the vaccine, you're really going to struggle with the new group that we need to get vaccinated. Experts say that pets and animals could be super spreaders.
Yeah.
Now, if you want a bunch of people who aren't going to understand how the vaccine works, look at animals. Well done. Experts say that cats and dogs may have to be vaccinated to stop the spread of COVID. I don't know why, but I presume it would be a bulldog sat there going like, oh, I don't understand why we would take it. I'm not going to wear a muzzle. But at least when dogs say that, they actually mean muzzles, not masks like stupid humans do when they say it. But there's been a lot of talk about getting dogs vaccinated, and I think we're missing the obvious thing. Good luck trying to get a cat vaccinated. I mean, a cat won't come near you when you're trying to be nice to it. So, look, I thought we'd get to the bottom of this issue. To find out more about vaccinating animals, we're actually joined by a cat. Hello.
Hello, Steve. Big fan of the show.
So are you in favour of pets being vaccinated?
I'm not in favour of it, no. I think it's unfair. Why should it just be cats and dogs? What about the other animals? What about the rabbits and the guinea pigs?
They were probably involved with the testing earlier.
Were they? Well, I suppose from my point of view it's good that it was tested on animals, but no, I'm not in favour of it. In fact, I think the whole thing is a hoax, just so that they can inject us with microchips.
You're a pet. You've already been microchipped.
What? No, they wouldn't, would they? No, they wouldn't do. They wouldn't do that to me.
No, check when you get to the vets.
Well, we're not going to the vets. I overheard them. We're heading to the VET, whatever that is.
Thank you for joining me, a cat. So, yeah. What other news show are doing interviews with cats about these issues?
It's still creepy.
That one's not a lady. I went through it for people who've only just started watching this show. I went through a long period of playing ladies that I was interviewing. It was a lonely time.
I mean, I think the
Oh, you've unplugged yourself as well.
It's gone away. There we go. This show's been brought to you by Skype.
Giving away the secrets.
Let's see here. Let me try and get it in.
While you do that, I can read out some of the messages as well. Let's have a look. We have... Joe says, I don't understand how people believe the world isn't flat. Have you seen it from space? The moon landing was photographed in Hollywood. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Do you know what? I've been doing so much research into flat earthers, and I don't know why, because it's utterly pointless. Like, there comes a point where I should just think, oh, you think it's flat? All right. Like, there is literally no downside to people not knowing stuff. But one of the things I recently saw was an interview with someone who moved from the UK and moved to Australia, which flat earthers think is fictional, so this wouldn't actually convince them. But apparently she was wigged out by the fact that the moon is upside down from that point of view. Which, how would you explain that to a flat? Like, how does the Earth travel round, the moon travel round, and they'll tell you, like, it's a disc. How is it upside down? And then only then would they probably add in, oh, it rotates as it travels round. And I think if your theory gets changed only when proved wrong, then you don't really have a good theory. Do you stand a chance of ever coming back, or shall I go full screen for a bit?
I'm here, and I can see the camera on this side, but it's not going down the line. So I don't quite know why that's happening.
This is the problem with the new way of living. Do you want to...
So, I mean, we are nearly at the end of the show. I could just do it as an audio for you can take us home. I think the only comment I would make on the COVID-19 anal swab in China is that the problem with that would be generally when someone sticks something up your bum, they tell you to cough.
Do they?
Yeah, it's like, give us a cough. When they check, at least down there. I don't know.
Right. I thought that's a hernia test, but maybe. Maybe.
They don't do that up the bum?
No.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God. What happened to you? Are you okay? Do we need to get you help?
All right.
Not
so
a real
it looks
doctor,
like the new house is slightly haunted, but we nearly made it.
Not quite, yeah. We'll leave it on screen.
Oh, dear. Well, I think you should just take us away, Steve.
Oh, let's have a look. You do have the face that's better for radio, says Joseph. How? What, him? Are you talking about him? Hope so.
That's just cruel. I'm just trying to connect one more time.
You give it.
Come on.
Victoria says, Steve, could you mime to Eric? Yes. Try and speak, Eric. Tell me a joke.
Let's see. I used to work with pigs, helping them.
Don't tell that joke again.
As long as they told an actual joke.
Yeah, it's tricky. Most people wouldn't have seen that, but we did an Edinburgh show once where Eric started telling that joke by saying, like, I had a friend once who this happened to, and I was sat next to him being like, that was just a bit of material from my early stand-up that didn't even happen to me. I'm just sat there staring at him like, he's telling the joke to me. He's telling my material to me. It was an out-of-body experience, which is probably what you're having right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's been fun. I hope you like the new office. It's going to get better once you can see it again.
Looks good.
Yeah,
I guess. We did have a picture of your office, though, right at the start, didn't we?
Yeah,
there we
before
go.
It was, yeah. I like the other picture better of my office.
Let's get rid of that. Put it there. There we go.
There we go. Right. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We're back. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday for those of you who are joining us for the first time. Thank you for booking with Crack Comedy. I can see a few donations have come through, so we appreciate that as well. Thank you very much for keeping us here. It can help us create cameras with better connections to the computers. I don't know what happened.
Can I just check? Anyone who's watching this right now, you can hear that voice as well. That's not just in my head. This would be a very strange episode to Tyler Durden, this bad boy. And it turns out there was no Eric after all.
Just a box with a filing cabinet.
Yeah, because actually, I went into a different room and wrecked it by the look of that, and yet then my brain tells me no, it was Eric moving in.
If you bring up the picture with Bernie Sanders, I can do Bernie.
Oh God, yeah, that's true. Where did you put that one?
Oh, it's close.
Next one.
The next one. That's it. Can you bring me into the half shot? It's the millionaires and the billionaires. They come in and they mess up an office, and I can't even find a good place to sit. And I gotta get new mittens because I got these damp in 1985, and they're making my fingers cold. And my mask, I don't know, one of my ears is lower than the other.
He's Van Goughed it.
There we go.
Well, I think that somehow managed to make up for the lack of technology. Thank you very much. Yes, we can hear, says Tatamd. Thank you. For a minute there, I was worried. Any more messages coming through? What's this one? Lynn says, yeah, the audio is fine, Eric. Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's plow on. I think it works.
It's probably better when I'm not on screen.
Not sure they're getting any of these. If they're getting any of these messages, says Britt. We're probably not.
Depends on where. I mean, we're seeing the ones on the.
Eric is sound only, says Mark. Jack says we can hear. Britt says that's even better. Oh, that can't be to that, can it? Oh no, it's because. Let's have a look. Love the tweet that went viral saying the flat earthers all around the world, and then Mark says it was actually Flat Earth Society who said that. Oh, brilliant! Because I knew someone who thought the flat earthers were actually. The only conspiracy is that someone thought, let's pretend that we believe it. And somehow people have fallen for the concept that they think it's flat. So I think I believe that. They're just faking it. Eric's in the chat box saying, I am alive. Well, this is just getting weird.
Well, you never know. And if you don't know what the money goes towards, you can see on Ko-fi we have a goal, which is we're saving up for lockdown 4.
Yeah.
So if you can help us get through lockdown 3. And thank you to Jack, who donated to us a few minutes ago.
Well, thank you very much. Well, I think we're nicely all sorted. We'll just do one more check to see if you're plugged in, but you're probably not. No. Okay.
I am. The light is on.
Okay. Tell you what.
I can see myself.
Let's get ourselves. There's the link. If you'd like to chuck some money in there, you can message us after the event as well. Would be very appreciated. It's always nice to stay in touch. Thursday. Actually, a couple of things to plug. You wanted to plug your podcast, and someone actually, I did notice, said it was a great listen this week. Where's it gone?
Yeah, it's called American Exchange. Next week, and we're hopefully going to be talking to Rick Wilson, who was part of the Lincoln Project, which helped. There's a bunch of Republicans that went after Trump. This week, I don't yet know who the guest is. It's always a surprise. And but yeah, last week we talked to a guy named Dr. Deigel.
That's not his name, is it? Whatever you're saying is not his name.
It is his name.
Yeah, I'm sure he pronounces it at least quicker than that. Deigel goes up less at the end when he says it.
He's an expert on. He's an epidemiologist and talks all about COVID, and he's really, really interesting. Yeah, Dr. Eric Feigl-Ding. There we go.
Yep.
It's one of those names you got to take a run up to.
It's one of those names, and also one of those fonts that you never use in Microsoft Word. Also, Rick Wilson. So not only is he all of that, he's also the lead singer of the Kaiser Chiefs. Wow, you really do get top bookings. It's Martin who says Eric's podcast on USA and COVID was an eye-opener. So also, I've got some stuff to plug as well. We should say, if you want to buy a copy of the book, lasted another year despite a pandemic, get it from Amazon. The ebook version, get that as well. It's easier and I make more money out of each one and need every penny. Plus, I did load in this. I wanted to say, tonight at 10 o'clock on E4, there is a thing called Dead Pixels. Season 2 starts. Now, when I say I'm in it, oh, he's not there, is he? When I say I'm in it, I'm not really. Like, in all of the 6 episodes, there might be a couple of episodes where my voice is in it, because I voiced some of the computer characters that they play. But it's also as close to being on telly that I get to claim these days. So watch Dead Pixels on E4 at 10. You might hear me say stuff that you don't notice is me because I don't do it in my own voice.
Yep. And we also were told, was it last week sometime, that you've got a generic voice of a machine anyway?
Yeah. Yeah, that was in the pre-recorded special. Don't tell them that, because if there's a Series 3, they're not going to hire me for it, are they? Crap. Oh, well. And I think we're all plugged. We're all sorted out. Thursday at 10 o'clock.
Yep. There we go. Subscribe, share. You can watch our old, our previous episodes on the YouTube channel. And thanks very much for joining us.
Till then, bye.
Bye.